everybody, and welcome to the RE Screening Podcast. I am your host, REScreening.com's own Mark Eastman, and with me, as always, is co-host extraordinaire Shane Leonard.
Hello.
And this week we have to catch up a bit on movies because we're going to do Thunderbolts and Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And we have even a few other things to do, but that'll keep us
probably busy enough.
Busy enough for
we'll
this.
Get to it.
But also, I just have to throw out that we did not do our Can't Win Awards.
Yeah.
And man, it has been such a crazy year that by the time we got to that, and then something happened. We couldn't do the show one day, and then the next thing you know, all of a sudden it was we did Sinners, and we were like, well, we got to do Sinners,
right?
And then man, it just like
slowly got away.
It just ate its way through my brain and left or whatever. But so on the next show, we will be doing our Can't Win Awards.
We should rename them the Can't Tell You.
I know.
We figured them out, but we can't tell you.
If you happen not to know and haven't been listening to us, and if you're, just checking in really quickly, they are our awards for, can't win. For people who can't win, we just do the big five.
Yep.
And it's, really great performance maybe, but look at this movie. That's not going to get nominated.
Yeah, there's no
You're not
chance.
getting nominated out of this movie or whatever, but,
right.
Worthy of note, and someone should give them some credit for that.
I know we have stuff to do.
It is, yeah.
Would Bruce Willis have won for Hudson Hawk the year we were doing, the year it came out, if we were still doing this then?
I don't know why that would pop into your head, but
because I was thinking of like an example of like this film sucks.
No,
this
because
performance stuck with me, or I like it, or
he's good in that in a way,
but
not
in the way.
It's not in a way that I would go, wow, look at that great acting.
I wouldn't give Andrew Dice Clay the award. I don't think I would for Ford Fairlane. But like Mark said, it's really just our way of saying this film can't win an award. This film won't win, in my mind, it won't win an Oscar.
Right.
I know there are all kinds of others, but we start parsing all of those, nothing's going to win anything. But I liked it enough. I just want to throw it a bone and just say, you know what? I actually really like this, and here's why, so I give it my award.
Right.
So,
and I'll tell you, over the years, not that we're going to get lost on tangent on our awards, but over the years, one of the ones that has been the most interesting to me turns out to be like director.
Yeah. Right.
Because
seriously, or screenplay for me, both.
Because there are so many times that I will see a movie and I might really actually not even like it that much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'll go, I mean, come on, this is
that was
well directed, right?
Yeah.
And in the real awards world, I feel like director is one of those things that just nobody in a way pays attention to it at all.
Yeah.
In the sense of really looking at the movie and going, did good directing happen?
Right.
Apart from, I'm nominating it for Best Picture, so obviously it must be the best director. Like, that's just what happens. You get like you're like 4 or 5, maybe 6 movies that everyone says are like the best of the year, and this is the best movie, and maybe it is.
Right.
Maybe it's like one of the best movies of the year, but and then everyone, nobody looks for. Everybody's like looking through all the movies, looking through their own reviews or whoever is voting, given whatever the award is.
Right.
And they don't actually look for director, right?
Right.
They just look for best picture,
right?
And then they go, and those are my director picks.
Right.
When it's actor, actress or something, they look for best actor.
Yeah.
At least, hopefully, to some degree, right?
Yeah.
At least you see a lot of people, nominated for Best Actress, movies not nominated for anything else, right? Like that will happen because you're like looking, for that. But man, director. Yeah. So in our awards, I think director really stands out for me because we're like going, look, no one's going to pay attention to this movie probably,
right?
For just whatever it is. Maybe it's horror, right?
Right.
There can be good directors in horror movies.
Yeah.
Right. But
yeah.
you would never know.
Right.
Based on any other awards or whatever. Anyway,
it's also sort of easy. It's also very rare, thankfully, for both of us. I've done it a couple times where a film just takes 4 of the 5.
Right.
But for the most part, whatever the film I want to recognize, also I try to think, don't use the same director. Like there's got to be something else out there that you just were like, man, that just fell apart. But it was put together well.
Right.
It just couldn't. It could never stay together well enough. But
Anyway, and then, so that's going to be coming up on our next show. Before we dive in, I just want to throw out really quick, I'm not going to do like a bunch of news, but just yesterday I heard that they're making an Elden Ring movie.
Wow.
And, at this stage of the game, because it was like last night,
right?
I have no confirmation of this at all.
We're starting news. We're breaking news.
I really saw
We're making
a few people on social media say it, and when I saw it, it was like late last night,
right?
And whatever, and so I don't know. And the story is it's Andrew Garfield,
right?
And that just blows me away. Elden Ring, first of all, I don't love it, but it's a good game, right?
Yeah.
It's very screwy and weird.
Yeah.
And in a very legitimate way, there is no story, really.
Right. This is just you're wandering, doing a bunch of stuff.
You learn past story or whatever, and then you go through and kill all these things, and then there are these like gods or whatever they are, and you have to go and defeat them and everything.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn a bunch of stuff about what has happened in the past of this world that you are in and whatever. But there's just really kind of no story. And so, like, what does Elden Ring... Because, when stuff gets adapted, it's like sometimes we're just making the exact story of the game and filming it or whatever. And sometimes it's like it's just a thing that happens in that world that kind of goes along with
and there'll be
maybe
Easter eggs
some things or
like
whatever.
Like Warcraft.
So it's like with this one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean,
it would be really funny.
How do you make a movie out of
it? Would be
that?
really funny. Here's an idea for a film, and I'm going to write it today. 2 guys doing a podcast just come up with something, and it sort of strangely goes viral. It catches fire. Now Andrew Garfield starts getting approached for this. He gets the job.
Yeah.
We want credit. Those guys want credit. He won't give it to them because he's secretly a bastard. Sorry, Andrew. And then we go on our way to try to get him fired.
Oh, yeah.
And become the best podcast in the world.
Sure. That's an interesting movie. All right. So we got to jump into movies and get moving here.
Yeah,
because one of them could derail us for a while.
I wonder.
So anyway, Thunderbolts. We're going to jump in with that.
Man, I am not ready.
And this is... so it's like Suicide Squad of another, I don't know. It's like just off of that idea. It's a bunch of people get thrown together.
B and C list heroes have to come together despite all their various low powers or weird powers and in this one it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yep.
It is the bad guy that sort of like kickstarts things. Yep. And she's, I don't even remember. She's in Congress.
She's Valentina.
Whatever. Or she's the secretary of something. Right. Or the extent to which I have blocked a lot of this from my mind might give you some hints about something.
Yeah.
But anyway, she is also the... I don't know, CEO of some mercenary giant company of, pseudo military thing, whatever, right? And she's doing experiments and whatnot, but also she's doing a bunch of, off book, whatever things,
right? And
so our major players, have taken contracts with her, and kind of as we get really kind of a little bit into things and we're like forming our team or whatever, they all get trapped together in the thing because, you know, she needs to get rid of them all.
Right.
And then also Bob or whatever his name is happens to be in this thing. And it's so sad that his name's Bob.
Right.
Like, try a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
How hard would it?
Yeah.
You know, Gary. How about
Gary?
Like,
Gary's been picked on enough.
Anyway. And it's so, you know, it's this crew who have maybe had some tiny appearances in other things, or are, you know, our main, even though it's a group, we have like our main focus and everything.
Right.
And it is like just this people who are thrown together,
just a ragtag group,
don't want to be together,
overlooked and underappreciated,
and and the same old thing. And then hilarity ensues. Then the real magic happens with Bob, and you know, whatever. And that's kind of like the, I don't know, wrap up of the trailer. If you had like a good story trailer that was trying to bring you into what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the basic movie, and you know, whatever. We don't need to go too far into that before we do anything. I could not bring myself to give this movie over 2.
Oh yeah.
I hated so much about this movie.
Yeah.
And this is the one that I was saying, like, could derail us.
Right.
Like, maybe we would actually talk a lot about too much stuff. There were some decent parts.
Yep.
And there were some parts that actually were, like, fun. And I thought were pretty cool. But it was, as we frequently say on the show, it just became one of those things where I was like, man, I wish they'd have saved that for another movie. Because that's a cool part. That's a cool idea you're working with. And now you're just stuck in the middle of this, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't help anything, really, right? But there were some good parts. I thought most everyone in the movie was doing a pretty good job. It's just that a lot of it that they were trying to do was stupid. And the main story, and what I mean by that, just like really quickly, is like what they're doing is I have to get here and I don't know how.
Right.
So here's a stupid thing because I have to come up with something, and that's how I got here.
Yeah.
And so you've got actors who are doing a good job at their job.
Right.
But in this moment, their job is to do a stupid thing.
Yeah.
And they're doing it good, but hooray.
Yeah.
Right. But the main story is really, and you know, I know comic books fairly well. I don't know recent comic books though, you know, like hardly at all.
Yeah.
So if there could be all kinds of stuff happening, and I would go, that would never happen. And you know, someone would go, this is last week.
Look
buddy.
at this. Yeah. Right.
But I know, like, you know, I have a history of knowing him. You probably know a lot more things better than I do. If this is a thing that actually happened in comic books, it's another world, really, from comics. And so maybe this is a thing that they're pulling straight out of the comics. If it is, I'm glad I've been out of comics for a while, because the main story idea of this, and Bob, the guy, and the whole thing that happens, that, you know, when I read comic books, like, really seriously, was a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
But when I read comic books really pretty seriously, I mean, this would have been, you had no comic fans like the next day.
Right.
Like, you're wherever this appeared, you'd have been done.
Yeah.
The people I knew in like the world of comics,
when
I was reading comics. So I don't know if this really if this happened, in a comic or whatever.
Right.
But it is the dumbest thing trying to pull us along through this nonsense. And I swear to God, every time there's a new movie, it just has to be like the most powerful thing that ever existed, even though 2 weeks ago, or whatever, it's so uncomic, you know, for even in Superman comics, you know.
Yeah, and Superman doesn't have to save the world as much as Black Widow at every turn.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I gave it a 2, and that's all it's ever going to be able to get. It's lucky to get it.
This is the first real film. I guess you could argue that the Captain America Brave New World also, but I knew a lot of what was going on there. This was the first film from the MCU that I had so little background on, because the only hole in my Kevin Feige sort of watching universe is TV. I haven't seen any of the TV stuff.
Yeah, right.
I haven't seen Wanda. I haven't seen the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You know, I haven't seen any of the things that these have been sort of building on. But I know enough about the characters through their appearances in other films. Like Red Guardian was in the Black Widow film, so it's easy to know where that relationship is to Florence Pugh, in addition, who strangely sort of lost her Russian accent during this whole film. But that's okay. David Harbour had enough for everyone. I wondered if, when I was watching it, if the film didn't hit me enough because I wasn't contemporary with it, or if it was just sort of not working anyway. Like you said, there were a lot of fun things. No. Like you said, there were some fun things. I think I found a couple more than you did, but not many. I felt hard giving it a 2. I didn't feel right giving it a 4, so I hit 3.
Yeah.
If it had been the first, I think in some ways it suffers from Friday Night Lights, which is the symptom I designate to people sometimes, where it's so derivative that maybe it's for an audience that's only seen 12 films total.
Right.
And this is sort of a new thing of this ragtag B, C, D list hero group that comes together to save the planet. And then suddenly, through all the slapstick comedy and the the madcap hijinks, they cohesively save us all, and then they become like on the cover of National Enquirer.
Right.
That's been done a lot, and it's been done better. I think I told you. I know I told another friend when he asked about it, that the film, I feel, tries to compensate for the abundance of overpowered enemy here by delving into deep emotions, depression, darkness, isolation, all of these things in a way that is superficial at best and sort of convenient and a little pandering at worst, when all the bad guy really needs is a hug.
Right.
And maybe just a group hug, and everything's better again. We saved the world by hugging each other. I get it. A little kumbaya for me, but I get it. But these things, and what I said was, if you want to watch a film that deals with the personification or the justification of feeling different emotions, even the bad ones, can't do any better recently than watching Inside Out, except if you watch Inside Out 2, which nails these things.
Right.
If you have seen those films and then you watch this sort of clumsy attempt to try to navigate the topics that I just mentioned, it works enough. If you're pulling for this film, you're going to forgive it and propagate enough for it. If you're against it, it's going to seem offensive. I'm not either. And I just thought it was ineffective.
Yeah.
And as a modicum to tell the story, if it's ineffective, then a lot of things slide away from me from there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think, we should probably save ourselves from getting too derailed on this movie, and hopefully get through things faster. But the thing that's the worst for me about this movie is that it doesn't even have a lot of stuff from other MCU movies that allow it to be this bad, because at least you've got cool, fun stuff.
Yeah.
And that is just, even though I said there are some good parts, and there are, and there are some funny parts, and there are some parts that will kind of carry you along a little bit.
Yeah. But
there are no really good ones, right?
Yeah.
And most of the fighting is pretty stupid, especially because a lot of the real action involves, he's God. And so so there's no
he's not just God to them because their powers are no better. He's God to God.
Right.
Like he's just pointing his finger and laying waste to people. Like I get it, but
I mean it's
I'm like, hey man, nice knowing you.
It's like
I'm gonna go share my last 10 minutes over there.
It's like nonsensical stuff. But there's no there's no action that kind of can just suck you in and you can just go, well, look, man, it's just popcorn movie and we're having a good time.
Yeah.
There's nothing like up to the level being able to do that. And I think mainly because the movie thinks that it's so clever with all of the stuff that it's going to say at the end.
Right.
And all of the, oh, look, like the whole movie's a metaphor and yada, yada, whatever, that it's like, we don't want to go there because we want you to, like, I don't know, be paying attention and feeling where we are over here.
Yeah.
And it just, there are movies that I think are in some ways worse than this that I like better in the MCU, because they at least are like, giving you, you're on, this is like you're like on a roller coaster, except like it just goes around in a circle.
Yeah, right.
It's like, well, you didn't even give me the.
Sorry,
I don't know. So
even some other attempts, and this is not worse than the Eternals movie. This is not. There are films worse than this, but this is not high or even middle on the MCU for me. And I see a lot of people wanting it to be. And convincing them, this is so subjective. If they had a better time with it, that's great. If what they really love are not the main capes, if they're tired of Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and they really love, Green Lantern 212 in a weird planet of fish, cool. I get that. In terms of this, I felt that the film was asking me to do all the heavy lifting by just bringing up a word.
Right.
Or bringing up a phrase. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Instead of it doing the heavy lifting for me. I loved watching David Harbour, who I almost always love in every single thing he's in. He really digs being Red Guardian.
Yeah.
And you can't put enough scenery for him to chew on. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's in the same film. Other characters are way too up and down on their melancholy scale to be like, well, wait a minute, weren't you just really depressed a scene ago? Right. You don't slide out of that because we're doing this. And if I'm being that guy, and I'll be that guy for just a second, there's no way all these characters who go through the story we've seen let Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Valentina, sort of win at the end.
Right.
They just don't. Right. They don't come up to them and whisper things in their ear. They don't playfully let them have everything.
But they have to because we've got the scripts for 3 more movies already.
I'm just like, one of those kids. Now we're fighting ourselves because that person's not getting in front of a TV camera if I'm here from what they just did 2 minutes ago.
Right.
Bull, stop me. I think it tries well. I think it means well. I just don't think it was a film. I think this should have been a Netflix or a Prime 6-episode thing, and I just don't think it carried its own resume in a way. So
yeah. Everything that happens, the further it goes on, once it gets very, very close to the end, it just really goes off a cliff.
Right.
And everything is more and more nonsensical. Nothing is what these characters would do.
Yeah.
And you can't build these characters, some of them over multiple movies.
Yeah.
And then, go, this is what we need to happen in this scene, so this is what you're going to do. And then it's like, come on.
Right.
I mean, then you have no character. And everything with the whole, like you said, at the end with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, especially given who these people are.
Right.
I don't want to spoil anything, but you know, like the first moment they walk into the room, someone shoots her.
Right. That, or I fly across the room and grab you, or
that's who these guys are. She wouldn't have been able to finish like 2 words.
Right.
She'd been shot. And then we'd have to save her from that.
Right.
And then, okay, fine.
Right.
Then you have to save her from that.
Yeah, but do that.
But that is what happens. And it's just... Yeah. It's just so overclipped. But David Harbour is actually really great.
He's so great.
I can't imagine it. I feel like this movie would just instantly be a 0 if he wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I mean, he
elevates it a
was all of the stuff that was, you know, keeping you from leaving.
Yeah.
Basically.
And not even just because of the comedic stuff that he's doing. He's just... his presence, his demeanor, his size over some of these people, like he towers over Florence Pugh.
Right.
You're led to believe they would go basically to a stalemate with each other because she's a Black Widow, but still, like, just the throwaway scenes of him. They show it in the trailer where he's driving with Bucky and he's like, so I'm not going to do a Russian accent, but he's like, what kind of serum did you get? And he goes, you know, original.
Right.
You know, and it's just like fun, easy. Those moments make this film strong.
And he's the one character who... you know, he's like the exception that proves the rule because he's the one character in this that they pay serious attention to and go, what would he do right now? Right. And he is that guy. Yeah. And that's what happens, he's so much fun doing that. And the fact that he is so good, both David Harbour and how the character's written, just like, you know, standing right next to all the other ones where it's like what you do is, you know, whatever. Right. I mean, you know, they're like one step short of not knowing what to do. So suddenly a person has a new power that we didn't say they had before. Right. Oh, because I can fly us out of here. That will get us out of this, you know.
I also feel like there's got to be scenes, maybe not, maybe I'm just a mark for it, you know, but like, there are scenes where Harbour is doing his monologue or his dialogue with someone and someone just misses their line because they're just watching him act. They're like, oh, man, I'm really sorry. That was so great. Yeah. I wasn't here.
Yeah,
I was just watching. But
he's so good.
But he's not enough to watch the whole film just for him because he's not in it I mean, he's in it a bunch, but he's not in it enough to make that the film.
Yeah. All right. So we're just going to... move on. Mission Impossible. You know, it's getting really sad where the MCU is going for me at this point because, you know, that Captain America thing was a bunch of nonsense.
The multiverse is a really big weird
problem. And this one didn't help anything really. Yeah. I don't know. But
even if they can't right that ship, man, when it was great, it was great.
Yeah.
And maybe the Fantastic Four stuff is going to try to bring all the multiverse stuff to a close the way that Crisis on Infinite Earths does for DC.
That would be awesome if the Fantastic Four movie came out.
Yeah.
And what happened at the end of that movie was like just the multiverse doesn't exist anymore and we're never going to talk about it again. Right. I'd give it a 10 just for that. And like and then maybe it would work itself down, but that would be like the starting point.
Right.
All other
Right. No, that's my hope, but I don't know if that's what maybe they see a lot of toys and money and spin-offs and I don't know, but it's not working.
Anyway, okay, Mission Impossible and it's the final
reckoning.
The final reckoning. And this movie you know, maybe I'll be really surprised and we will talk a whole lot about tons of stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
And it will mess with our time. But I will be a little surprised because it's such garbage. So it's Mission Impossible.
Oh, no.
It's Mission Impossible.
Man, you're coming in.
Kind of sequel. It's like not only is this like a whole thing, but it's almost like if you had a Bond movie that one of them suddenly said to be continued, right? And you're like, what's that mean? Right. What's happening?
This has never happened.
But that's kind of so it is kind of being in a weird place for the franchise.
Yeah.
But it is very legitimately like, you know, a continuation, definitely, right?
Yeah.
We're in the same story. We've got the entity and the key
your favorite
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the last movie also was not good, but it wasn't as bad as this. And the last movie at least had probably at least the first half, maybe a little more, that I was at least fairly into it.
Yeah.
It was not like
Dead Reckoning was
it was not like from start to finish I didn't like it and it was garbage.
Right.
But as the movie went on, and then all of a sudden the entity was like magical.
Yeah.
And you know, you could just blindly jump off a train and know that you were going to land in the truck because the entity can figure out exactly how long this fight's going to take.
Right.
Like, man, now come on.
Yeah. Right.
And that wasn't even the screwiest thing. Right. But it was, as that movie went on, all of a sudden the entity was just magical.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is a neat scene I want to do. How can we explain it? We can't. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Ghost in the Machine.
It's like just
the Hannibal Lecter, like the super genius Ghost in the Machine.
So now we're at the point where, and I will say that movie, there was like a lot of cool stunts. There was actually stuff happening.
Yeah.
That movie, for all that I didn't like it, was playing the same game as the earlier ones.
Yeah.
And, you know, the action made sense. The fights, the chases, the sense of urgency was like a real thing. Like, you know, like in the earlier movies and, you know, whatever. In this movie, I mean, we're playing a different game.
Yeah.
And it's a weird game, and it's very dependent on whatever stunt Tom Cruise wants to do.
Yeah.
And that is like, that's the movie, right? Here's your bullet point outline of what's going to happen in this movie because, I don't know, I threw a dart at the board and I'm running
out of chances to put these great
I want to do this thing, whatever it is. The story, if you took the story and were not quite so weird about the computer, which the computer somehow is like not as involved anymore.
Right.
Like it's way less.
They dialed it back.
It's way less all of the computer, you know, manufacturing all these outcomes because it can see every possibility and all this stuff. And like that's like not really in play anymore for some reason.
Right.
Which the computer's busy taking over all the nukes in the world, I guess. It doesn't have time to
micromanage bus routes and estimate how quick my fighting skills are against yours.
But as it goes on, there's a lot of it that is actually like kind of cool. If you could make a lot of this story and somehow like the bad guy's not a computer, or you know, the bad guy, the computer's henchman who's now turned on him, or you know, whatever that all this nonsense. Somewhere in there's like some interesting stuff, right?
Yep.
I mean, we got to get this sub. We go to this place and it's like, oh, well, I don't know how you're going to bust into this highly fortified. And that, you know, like that's like some cool stuff happens and they end up there and then it's like this guy and, you know, lot of that stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But man, it is swimming in like tar soup in this movie. It is, I don't know. I don't want to go on too long. I give this movie 0. Dude. There are no positive qualities at all in this movie.
I think
everything that happens, if you took every 2 minutes of this movie, step by step, and you watch this movie 2 minutes at a time, and at the end of 2 minutes, you pause it and go, okay, what's absolutely nonsensical about that 2 minutes? You'd have like 10 pages of nonsensical mush every 2 minutes in this movie. Nothing that happens in it is interesting. Every time there's like an action-y thing, and the real problem is it even still gets worse as it goes on. But every time there's something action-y happening, you go,
right.
Who cares?
Right.
I mean, and like I said, it's worse as it goes on.
Yeah.
Because you're swimming through this, like I said, just inane soup of a movie to get to the action things. Yeah. He's in the sub, right?
The sub's going to be the easiest one.
And like I said, nothing makes sense.
I know.
Anyway, but he's in all this danger, right? This scene, the sub, when he's inside the sub, and then when he's outside the sub.
Right.
This is like kind of stuff that could happen in the earlier movies.
Right.
And you'd be so into it.
Right.
In this movie, it's like, I mean, he's going to be safe eventually. Can we just get to that?
Right.
You are not invested at all. And then they saved all this plane dancing for the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
So that by the time you get to that, you're like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, for most, and it's so long, it's insane. And it's unnecessarily long because I can't tell you how many times during this movie, which is supposed to be like this, adventure thing, right? That I'm watching the movie going, can I fast forward? Why do I have to watch them do this for so long? Right. It's not like there isn't even any more of the film for its length.
Right.
There's the same more.
Yeah.
We just watch it all happen longer.
Yeah.
Everything that happens, it goes on for like another minute when you're like, I get it. I mean, I understand.
Right.
Dude, Luther is in the basement.
Yeah.
And there's a bomb. I mean, I don't know how much
there's
I'm
so many
spoiling,
bombs.
right? But
there are bombs everywhere.
Luther is in the basement with the bomb, and it says like 40 seconds, and that scene goes on for 5 minutes.
It's an NBA fourth quarter 2 minutes.
It's talk. I know they talk so long.
Yeah.
After we see the thing, say 45 minutes, and neither one of them, with even like a hint of rush to their talking. Yeah. Like we see the thing, the bomb's going to go off, and Tom Cruise has to get out of there, right?
He's still got to run.
He's got to run like a distance, right?
Yeah.
And Luther's like, well, there's blah blah blah. Tom Cruise like pulls up a chair, lights a cigar. He's like, well, tell me about all your feelings and whatever. And I'm like, why am I watching this so long, dude? There's like say 3 lines.
Yeah.
And all the worst, like I could really probably go on about this forever, except I don't.
This is fun.
This is not the one that
this
I
is
thought
almost
would
better than the
derail
film
us because I just don't care, right?
Right.
But this is a franchise where, like, for example, fight scenes used to work and be really well done, right?
Yeah.
And now in this movie, it's like we have the same like fight scene choreographer, right? Yeah. But at a certain point, he's like mapping something out, and then he goes, and then after that, you're unconscious. And they go, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up. Like all this dumb stuff happens.
Yeah.
And it's not even that it's dumb. It's like they highlight showing it to you.
Yeah.
And then just go, and it doesn't matter. There's like a fight where he breaks a guy's foot.
Yep.
And I mean, off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then dude just gets back up and starts punching him again. Yeah. And why are you doing that move?
Yeah.
If you want them to keep going, right?
That's a finishing move.
Yeah. And there's one where when you're in the plane, this is like my own personal, I'm a firefighter watching backdraft kind of thing with fight scenes. But there's a thing where they're in the plane at the end, and he hyperextends the guy's elbow and breaks it, and his arm is gone, and dude starts screaming and whatever. And I'm like, but the girl did that in an earlier part. That dude didn't care.
Right.
He just like went, whatever. And
thanks for the stretch.
And he's like throwing punches again. And I'm like, your arm is off.
Yeah. When you get your arm broken by Ethan Hunt, it's different.
Connected anymore.
Yeah. No, I know.
And like the fights in this movie are just like on and on like that. But like I said, just every next thing is dumber than the last. I'm not invested in anything. The poor girl who has to be in this movie because she's in the last movie.
Yeah, Haley Atwell.
No, not her.
Oh.
The French Asian woman.
Yeah. Right. Sorry.
She got like 5 lines. There's not the slightest point in her being in the movie. She doesn't do anything in the movie that actually means anything or whatever. It's like, why is she there? And, you know, like I said, just every next thing makes no sense. The sub makes no sense. Nothing about, they even, like, they spell things out because they think that they're trying to be like, look, we're super real.
Right.
And then he gets in the sub.
Right.
That's empty of water. Not that it would even matter, but he's in the sub and he's still suffering from the pressure. And I'm like, you're in the sub now.
Right.
And then the sub falls and so we take this plan where we go, you have like a 1 in 800 billion chance of this working.
So you're saying there's a chance.
And then we go in the sub, sub falls.
Yeah.
And he strips off all his stuff.
Yeah.
And he still makes it.
Right.
Which
goddamn right. That's right. That's right.
Whatever. It's so awful, and it's almost like insulting to fans of the franchise. So funny, seriously, it's horrible. And I'll tell you, not for nothing, but my wife loved all the other movies, including the last one.
Yeah.
And she would have left if
that was where she was at. If we weren't there,
if I wasn't there, she would have left. The movie was only on for like an hour, and she's sitting in a chair. She starts like kicking her feet. She's like, I'm totally bored.
Right.
And you know what? Oh man, there were no positives. There was nothing positive happened. There was nothing with the characters going on. There's there's no apart from the guy they find in the Arctic or whatever.
Yeah,
he was fun.
He's fun.
That part of
he is fun, and that was
part of
surprising.
It was
that was great
and cool.
That was really cool.
But other than that, you know, there's nothing counterbalancing how stupid it was. You know, it's like if there were a movie that was not trying to be so serious, like we have to watch 15 minutes of all the other people on the sub explain all of the crap that's happening, giving us all these details about the bends. Like we need that in our movie.
Right.
I mean, this movie was 2 hours long and they went, nope, that can't happen. Yeah. So just write some stuff in.
Is it 250? It is 250, isn't it? It was like, it's 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yeah. It's crazy long. Anyway,
that's a lot.
I don't know. You talk.
No, that's a lot. And I liked it a lot more than you.
I hate this movie so
much. I know. I liked it a lot more than you. This film, boy, there's so many things to just share and echo and then push a little back on. But, I mean, you didn't like it. There's no point of that stuff anyway. For a film like this, it's weird. Am I judging the film? Yeah. Am I judging the series entry? Yeah. Does it get weighed against the others? Yeah. Does it get special attention because it's the final entry? Yeah. So one rating doesn't really do everything, except I tried to make it do everything. So I gave it a 4. Wow. I gave it a 4 partially because of the disappointment and the missteps, but also not the degree of difficulty, because I think it could have been an entirely better film for all the things that you bring up. You know, it would have been so amazing if we had known that the final reckoning, if that's the title they would have done a few years ago. If somebody came in and we were like, you know what, we've peaked and now we're going to come back down, but we're coming down with velocity. This last film is going to be an hour and 40 minutes, and we're just going to go all out.
Right.
Instead of doing the opposite, which is sort of like the fireworks maintenance guy on the July 3rd who's like, okay, we got to go a little slow in the beginning because everything's at the end. We got to do all this big payload. And at some point you're like, more bursts, more colors, more booms, more things. Somebody in these offices said that was probably the best idea. And because they have gone through 7 iterations and felt an owing to the crew, the cast, the audience, they convinced themselves that this is what we needed, and that was a mistake. Partially because of all the sort of extraneous stuff that goes on, But also, I think it was, and I agree with you, I think it was a big mistake to make AI and malicious AI the big bad through the sixth film, the majority of the sixth film. They try to backtrack a bit. They try to explain why Gabriel is a different kind of dangerous, and they explain it easily enough to just say, you know, you didn't follow your mission, and now the entity is mad at you. You're on the outs. Maybe there's a way, you know, there's all kinds of things going on. I'm doing what my girlfriend teases, and I think your wife teases us for, which is normally we rate something really high and then we trash on it for the film, or we rate something low and then we come in and we're like, oh, this was an 8 though. I think one of the bigger mistakes is the too long set pieces between the submarine, which was unnecessarily long, and putting Maverick back in a plane to conclude a film. Why would I, you've done so many things and already you have, speaking to Tom Cruise, like you've already proven you can hang on the outside of a plane and it's really you. We all know you do these things. We all know the skydiving was really you. The series itself seemed to have had its highest peak, and for a while there I even forgave the sixth film, convincing myself that it was maybe a little stronger than it was. First film's fine. First film's really good. Second film misses. The third, fourth, and fifth escalate and double down on itself and succeed in each installment, so that by the time the sixth film came around, I was psyched. I couldn't wait. The trailer for the sixth film is amazing. Isn't it a bit indicative that I'm talking more about the history of the films and the films themselves than the last film? Yeah, it is. I wanted it to be good, and I'm cheering for it, but I can't hide the stupid, awful, dumb stuff, you know, and it's there. I just was more willing to, I was in the mood for it, and I was up for it. And I thought, going into this film, Mark, I thought for sure, like whether or not your wife was there or my friend, it doesn't matter. I thought, there's so many ways to mess this up, and they're going to do several of them. I didn't know that almost all of the ways they could have messed it up, they would. But I like the characters. I root for them. I thought they made a big mistake by not putting Lethal Jeopardy on any of them early when they try to do it late to make it matter more. It should have been like, I don't know what's going on, but this is a world of danger. And they're always very lucky because Ethan Hunt is better than everybody. Not by leaps and bounds, but doesn't matter enough. And his conclusion in the last film, where he's trying to tell Haley Atwell's character when they're all like, you know, we'll protect you, we'll keep you safe. And he goes, no, I can't promise you that. But what I can promise you is I'll always value your life more than my own. And that's all it needs. Because if he thinks you're more important than him, he's going to go to the wall for you. And there's a throwaway scene where where they're captured and he looks at her and he's trying to condition her for years of CIA training, years of in the field training. He goes, hey, remember, it's just pain. You know, and I got chills. I'm like, shit's about to go down. Like, this is going to get ugly. And it doesn't. And it does that sort of bob and weave ineffectively and sometimes effectively for me. But I can't disagree with anything you said, mostly, except that I was there for it more and I was a bit more forgiving. But even when I'm there for it, I guess I'll wrap this part up. Even to not be apologetic for it, because I think it does miss some things. Why didn't anyone in the IMF just think, the entity's everywhere, why don't we just talk to global leaders and we'll just fire off an EMP? Like, we'll all suffer for 60 days, but guess what? We're all going to, like, nobody even thought to run that by anybody. And I'm here in your basement saying stuff like that. Like, that should have been easily addressed. The thing that is perfect for me, they get to the Arctic, and I don't want to spoil it, but they encounter somebody from another part of the stories, and he actually has some, well, I can't talk about it without not explaining it. They get the guy from the first film who was in the secret room where Tom Cruise comes flying down like a bug and hovers, and he still kept the knife. He would never have been allowed to leave with the knife for all the fingerprints and all the like, I don't know how he got out of there with that knife, but that was like, oh, this is great. Look at this guy. It's really that guy, this character. This makes sense. And you're like, what'd you do that for? What did you do that for? Like, you can't have the knife. Now everything is all sort of like wishy-washy and dumb. It should have just been really smart. It should have just been really better. You know, my rating is mostly for all of those things instead of just this thing. But it's hard. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, everything about this movie is stupid.
I get it.
Like I said, if you watch this movie 2 minutes at a time, but
you liked it 200% better than Thunderbolts,
and I'm not.
Thunderbolts, you like 200% more than this. That's staggering to me. But
well, I mean, it's really like multiplying by 0, so that doesn't really work that way. But the two things I want to say is the plane at the end, I think, is a really good example of what's really bad about the movie.
Yeah.
And not only because all the stuff that happens is stupid, or there's all this stuff that has to happen in the plane where you go, come on, no one could hold on to that. Or, you know, like, not for like the realism complaints, right? But the thing that's wrong with that is you've got basically a guy has to get on a biplane.
Yep.
And he has to take it over, and he has to go catch the other biplane.
Yeah.
And then, you know, take that over.
Right.
And that is like, I feel like it's about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That is what's happening in the movie, and that's all you're watching.
That's all we're watching. Yeah.
And that exact idea, right? Just take that bullet point thing.
Yeah.
Could have been made in like the 40s.
Yeah.
And it would have been 5 minutes long.
Yep.
And it would have been better.
Yeah.
It would have been a better scene.
Less is more.
You'd have been scared.
Yeah, right.
You'd have been going, oh my God, look what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly the guy would have like banked and you'd go, what?
Yeah,
and, you know, like whatever.
Right.
And this, it just goes on and
Doesn't he
on
bank like
and
4 times?
And on.
Yeah.
And it is just, there's no way for that to be good anymore, right?
Yeah.
You watch this happen enough, and there is a point where you just go, I don't care anymore. Your brain can't work like that, right? It's so bad.
Yeah.
But by that point in the movie, you don't care about anything anyway.
Right. That's at the end anyway.
But the final thing that I want to say, because we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Final thing that I want to say is the thing that is the worst about this, especially because it is really the two movies are all one movie. Right?
Yeah, I got to start thinking it that way.
Is that
boy, it's a long
it
movie.
ends up, and I wanted to see this movie mainly for this reason, because it ends up, it's not even a Mission Impossible movie at all. Because Mission Impossible movies are all this shit happens, you think everything's gone wrong, and here's our plan of what we're going to do, and then that doesn't work, and then it turns out we had this other plan all along, and now it all comes together, and boom, we win. That's how every one of the other movies is.
Yep.
And this movie has none of that.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't even have like anything close to that
not even
on.
remotely like that. Yeah.
It has a bunch of parts in it where it's like, there's not really a plan. This is like kind of our plan. And then, you know, it all comes down to, you know, cut this and pull it out real fast.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? And now we saved the world. And, you know, it's all so nonsensically not Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
That it's just, by the time I got to the point in this movie where I was like, there really isn't going to be any plan. I was like,
this is the plan.
What are we even doing?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I just have to say this like one final thing.
No, I'll do it.
Because all of these parts drive me nuts.
I got one last thing.
Especially because the movie is trying to be so serious. If
is.
this movie would just not have been so serious, you'd go, well, whatever.
Right.
You know? But at the end, you know, they have to cut a hole and
I know.
And keep his lung from collapsing, right?
Yeah.
And I swear to God, like, this is such a bad thing. And not, you know, I don't want to be seen as recommending anything in particular, but you have like seconds before this guy dies.
Yeah.
And they keep sterilizing shit with alcohol.
Right.
That is not a thing.
Right. Right.
The sterilization of it is not what's happening right now. Right. The sterilization of something is like, you know, we have like 20 minutes before I do this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it, and I don't know how to do it, and
don't
let's
you know,
sterilize
liquor's an
things or
immediate
whatever.
sterilization tool, and
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
one of these things
later
old
you can
movies.
take antibiotics,
You're gonna
or
need a lot.
whatever, right?
Some ratty
it's
old
like
pen in somebody's cop. Yeah,
it's so nonsensical. Like I'm seriously like everything that happens.
I know.
If you just had anyone on this set who could just say no to Tom Cruise,
Right.
About
and this is the other
about
thing.
anything during the whole process of this movie.
Yeah.
You'd have had a way better.
One of the and again, not to drag it out because we have to go, but one of the weirdest things is Chris McQuarrie and Tom Cruise have done a lot of great work together, and they've done, for the most part, I would say, positive work together. It's strange that somehow they convinced themselves, or maybe it wasn't even a debate. Maybe somebody just said, and if that somebody was somebody, that name is Tom Cruise, who just said, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And no one can stop him. No one could stop him before Maverick, but after Maverick did so much, and like Spielberg says, saved Hollywood, arguably, I just think that fundamentally you start looking at the decisions you're going to make in this story. It's not even that Tom Cruise played Maverick and did plain stuff to win the day in another movie. As Ethan Hunt, he did plain stuff to win the day in just a couple movies ago when he's fighting Henry Cavill in Gunships, and like he has to figure out a way to get the device on another flight, and he's not there. And I mean, what? Didn't we just do this? Like, there should have been one of the best things about Smallville, and I know this is a weird thing to throw in, was their motto, which is no flights, no tights. We're not going to do that. And then in the end, they broke their rule, but that was the end. In here, the main rule should have been, we're not going to duplicate stunts. Right. If we do, we are derivative of ourselves, and we should move on. They don't really follow their own rules. I thought, as the last thing to say, I thought it was interesting that, again, I can't remember if he did it for Dead Reckoning, but we both know that Tom Cruise was in the beginning of the film for Maverick, thanking the audience, and it's just sort of a strange thing. Yeah. Not because it's Tom Cruise, and not because they start the movie that way, but Tom Cruise has been doing that a lot. And say what you want about him, his movies do certain things. I just thought that was a weird way to begin. But I actually don't know what people are going to do. I totally understand if people come back and feel the way you feel. I guess I kind of understand if people come in and they're like, 4? Hell, this is an 8. I'm like, cool, I'm glad you loved it. It would have been and could have been and should have been so much better and smarter and thinner and trimmer and dangerous, and still could have done all the things without putting people in danger just because we need emotion.
Right.
I don't know. Right. There's a miss, but
all right. So anyway, don't really hurt yourself to see either of those
two, I guess. I mean, I feel like people are going to. They're going to be MCU completionists, and people, you're not going to skip Mission Impossible, but let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know if you felt different, if you saw it different, anything.
I don't know, but I think Mission Impossible is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right. But you could wait for it to not be in theaters.
I think you could totally wait for it. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
All right. So like we said, next week we'll have something, but also our Can't Win Awards.
Maybe just catching up too.
And yeah, probably. We have a few things to catch up on. Yeah. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.